Do you remember the first time you opened up a Harry Potter book? And how magical that experience was? Because I don't. I needed Jim Dale to read it for me. I had to listen to the audiobook for every book I ever had to read because I'm stupid as hell. Also, did you know there's a scene in the Harry Potter movie where Harry uses his magical powers to set a snake free from the zoo, and then when the snake leaves, he says to him, thanks, like in the English language? Like, that's already silly enough. But in the book, the snake said,
Brazil, here I come. Thanks, amigo.
Hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start over. The first few Harry Potter movies are to the early 2000s, what the Lord of the Rings movies are to the early 2000s. The first film came out in 2001, and almost 20 years and one failed Hugh Grant casting later, people today still talk about how freaking stupid it was when my friend Alex said they were making a new Harry Potter movie in Missouri in the middle of history class, and then our history teacher looked it up, and literally the first article said, yeah, no, that's not happening. Doesn't anybody check their sources anymore? Anyway, after completing the 7th Harry Potter novel, JK Rowling decided,
you know what? I'm gonna stop making Harry Potter content.
But after a little while, she realized something. One day, she thought to herself,
hey, I kind of miss having big giant dump trucks full of money in my driveway.
And thus, the Fantastic Beasts franchise was born. The third Fantastic Beasts film is slated for a 2021 release if all goes according to plan, and I'm sure Johnny Depp will kill loads more babies in this film. But even if I know a lot of people who like the Fantastic Beasts films, I've never really met anyone who loves the Fantastic Beasts films. And certainly no one who loves them as much as Harry Potter. And it might forever be a mystery why the story of a boy going on magical adventures and flying around on a broomstick resonates more with family audiences than that of an awkward zoologist who fights a baby-murdering Johnny Depp performance. Actually, maybe that's not a mystery at all. But it doesn't matter if you like the Fantastic Beasts movies, because clearly people want more Harry Potter content. They yearn for it. They crave it. The way I crave those bugs in The Lion King. Not that I would eat real bugs, because that's just disgusting. But the way the bugs are drawn in The Lion King, they just look so juicy. And for a franchise most people think is okay to not great, there is somewhere in the range of 96,000 new installments planned. Speaking for me personally, I like the first Fantastic Beasts movie okay, but I wasn't really a fan of the second one, and I think that's because the first one really ended the story of Newt and his friends. I mean, not only did the second movie have to Men in Black 2 one of the main characters, but I didn't even learn where to find any Fantastic Beasts. All I learned was that Johnny Depp could vape World War II. Why is Grindelwald even the villain in a movie series about catching magical zoo animals? Shouldn't it be someone who wants to bake them into an exotic dish? Or maybe make them into a fur coat? I guess maybe then it wouldn't feel as much like Harry Potter, but if you want to have this whole wizarding world shared universe, you gotta learn to shake it up a little. There's a reason the Marvel movies are so successful. Sure, they all have the same formula, but some are more action-oriented, some are more comedic, some are more for families, some are whatever Thor 2 was. So what I think they should do is only have one more Fantastic Beasts film to wrap up the story, and then create spin-off movies based on pre-existing characters and explore new genres and aspects of the Harry Potter world we've never seen before. So today, I'm gonna pitch a few ideas for Harry Potter spin-off movies. So let's just jump right into it. So I'm not going to go about this in any particular order, so to decide the first spin-off movie I'm going to talk about, I decided to take a look at one of the main characters. So when you think about which characters you'd want to see more of, you have to consider the fact that Harry Potter has already had 7 books and 8 movies. So that leaves the second main characters, Hermione Granger and Ron Weasley. In the book series, Ron and Hermione are the perfect companions to Harry, as Hermione has mucho knowledge of books and spells, and Ron has lots of knowledge of the wizarding world, as he's the only one of them that grew up in it. The movies decided to change this by giving all of Ron's triumphs to Hermione, and giving all Hermione's triumphs to Hermione. Ron was left with one emotional sacrifice and a couple of other things here and there, but aside from that, was rendered basically useless.
Knight to H3.
Your boy Ethan from H3H3. The sun finally came out. It's a beautiful, nice, warm day.
So that's why we're going to give the character Ron and the actor Rupert Grint their time to shine with their own movie, set after the last movie and before the epilogue, titled Ron's Bachelor Party. Come on, feel the noise. The boys are back, and they're coming hard. Join Harry, Neville, Hagrid, George, and Malfoy as they take their friend Ron on an epic quest of alcoholic indulgence. Not unsimilar to the journey taken by the characters in the Academy Award for Best Director nominee Todd Phillips' film The Hangover. And when we say mischief managed, we really mean mischief managed. This movie's certain to be a, say it with me now, bloody hell of a good time! Picture this, a Gilderoy Lockhart musical adventure series directed and starring Kenneth Branagh. Who wouldn't want to see that? Well, maybe anyone who's not a nerd. The film would use the Irishman's CGI de-aging technology to turn Kenneth Branagh back into a young, scrappy, and hungry Lockhart. Each film would send Branagh off on a new adventure with a different wizard or witch played by an esteemed actor, including Kevin Kline, Saoirse Ronan, Antonio Banderas, Bill Murray, Owen Wilson, and of course, Hugh Grant. Each movie would end with the witch or wizard's memory being wiped and him taking the glory. This couldn't be any more perfect. When I imagine Lockhart playing the bumbling buffoon to someone more straight-laced and going on an adventure, I picture something like Green Book, except this time it would actually end racism.
Ooh, I'm gonna get grease on my blankie.
I must warn you all that this story is a much darker take on the Hogwarts mythos than we have ever seen before. Taking place only a couple years after the Deathly Hallows, the story will follow a new character, a young girl who, in an effort to get in with the popular kids, does the unthinkable. Kicks Filch's cat, Mrs. Norris, on a dare.
Mrs. Norris, you've murdered my cat. I'll kill you. I'll kill you!
Since it has been so clearly established that in the official Harry Potter lore, Argus Filch is more than willing to kill a student, that's exactly what happens. And the main character, in the style of Psycho, is killed off in the first 30 minutes. By the way, spoilers for Psycho. Anyways, cut to 10 years later, Argus Filch is now in exile for his murderous crimes. David Bradley once again returns to the role that made him famous, and we finally get to see the conclusion to one of cinema's greatest anti-heroes. It's a story of passionate love, loss, and self-discovery. It's the story of a man who was neither a wizard or a muggle. The story of someone who was simply Filch. Wow, I just gave myself goosebumps. You know what? Who am I kidding? All these ideas are terrible. Who'd want to see a movie about a side character of a side character? The only thing dumber than that would be making a movie about the author of a fictional in-universe book. Wait a minute, I've had an epiphany. I think I figured out what all the real potheads want. Real Harry Potter fans, that is, not like potheads. So what do they really want, you may ask? Well, I'll tell you. A dark and gritty Dobby movie in the style of 12 Years a Slave, hashtag Baby Dobby. Remus Lupin and Sirius Black rom-com. Animated DreamWorks movie about Charlie Weasley. Uncle Vernon prequel Disney Plus thriller in the style of John Wick. Slughorn finally explodes. Or maybe just reboot it as a TV series.
Brazil, here I come. Thanks, amigo.